Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about Apple and how a partnership could be coming with the cryptocurrency payment processing company Strike, founded by Jack Mallers, running with Bitcoin Lightning Network. This company could be about to partner with Apple. There's a big rumor going around, so we're going to be talking about that and the technical analysis of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency markets in this episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. We come at you 9:30 Eastern every single weekday, so make sure that you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tune in every single weekday as we break down the latest technical, on-chain, and fundamental metrics here in the cryptocurrency markets. I am joined, as always, by T.A. Tim. How you doing, Tim?
What's up, everybody? I made a mistake this morning, and all my famous people are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I woke up this morning, I did a hit. I did Tabata. So again, Tabata, I could explain it. It's a style workout. You guys know what it is. Pretty much 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off rest. Did way too many quad exercises. My quads are feeling it. I kind of got up and put 5 minutes of thought into my workout, and then realized very in the middle of it, I'm like, that didn't think this one through. So luckily I get to sit. Anyway? I get to sit for the show. Good news, we don't have to stand, so that's always fun.
Who needs quads anyway? You don't need a quad. You need a dirt bike. That's what you need. We're also joined, as always, by Smay. How you doing?
I'm doing, guys. I'm doing. And you know what else I'm doing? I'm doing reading names is what I'm doing. And I'm going to read those names, and I'm going to do it.
Okay.
You ready? Sorry, my phone is being finicky because I have my names on my phone now. All right. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
I believe so. I'm not sure I'm ready.
I want to make sure you guys are ready before I do this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Bitcoinologist Jeremy Shorter, Crypto Alchemist, Mario Dohinovich, Why You Loud, Crypto Red Fox, Crypto Sec Guy. Who else we got here? We got Siobhan Golay. We got Grand Roofing Incorporated. We got Agent Gold. We got Thomas Post. We got JoJo. We got Matt C. We got Eye of the Beholder. We got Lucas Jazolski. We've got Cameron. We've got Cryptopher. I like all of you guys. You guys are the best.
There you go. Let's see. Somebody said, let me find this quote. Crypto Alchemist, at TA10, what happened to never regretting a morning workout?
Yeah, I just responded to him. I just said, I regret the planning, not the execution. Again, the rest of me felt good. It's just my quads got a little fun. It's funny, too, because, like, they just definitely got pumped, and they were, like, rock solid. That's actually fun. Have you ever gotten so pumped you just feel like you're not even flexing? It's, like, rock solid?
Yep.
That's fun. What's not fun is walking down a set of stairs that we have to do every single day to get into the office.
Yeah.
That was a careful process.
Yeah, walking down the stairs when it looks like you don't have any knee joints, yeah, that definitely is relatively painful. But guys, we got a lot we're going to be covering today. We already got a super chat from John Roque. We'll read that along with the rest of them here in a little bit. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. Let's go ahead and jump on over to CoinMarketCap. Before we do, I do want to mention today's show is brought to you by Ledger. It is the product that I've been using for the last 4 years to store my cryptocurrency on a cold wallet. You can check out our link with the link in the description box down below. As for Bitcoin and the crypto markets, you can see Bitcoin is currently trading at $47,000 and change, trading sideways up here above the critical resistance level of 46 that we broke about 4 days ago. Sitting up here has been very, very bullish for Bitcoin because it basically means that we have reset the levels of resistance that we need to do. So we're going to go ahead and look at that here in a second. But let's take a quick look over at CoinMarketCap. Bitcoin up 10% in the last 10 days. Ethereum up 13%. Binance Coin up 10%. Solana up 27%. Cardano up 5%. Now, Cardano has now seen about a week pass since its major run. All the cryptos are kind of trading sideways right now, just locking in the gains that they've already built, which is not a bad thing. I'm not opposed to that, but it does just mean that you're going to see some smaller gains on the 24-hour and 7-day change graphs here, but it doesn't mean that things are not happening in Bitcoin and crypto. It just means that we're in a period of consolidation following a pretty major rally. As for Avalanche, we're up 7%, up 16% on 7 days. It's sitting just below $100. For anyone looking at AVAX, $100 is going to be a huge, huge level of resistance. So if you're able to see Avalanche break through $100, there is going to be a trading opportunity there. Luna sitting at $100, Solana sitting at $100 as well. Now, I do want to look at the biggest gainers and losers over the last 24 hours. We got IOST, not a project I'm very familiar with, but it's up 40%. Scale Network up 27%. Zilliqa, that's the first one that I'm actually somewhat familiar with, up 25%. Solana up 8%, although that should not be in that position. Pancake Swap up pretty well, and then Theta Fuel doing very well. As far as the biggest losers, we got Chili's down here at -5%. That's really interesting to see Chili's down 5%, but if you remember, it's up 40% in the last 7 days. So this is not really a bad thing for Chili's. This is just a little bit of consolidation, as you can see. Tim, what was that story about Messi with Chili's? Do you remember what that was?
Well, so he's partnering with Socios.com, which is Chili's like websites. Picture Ripple and XRP. XRP to Ripple is what Chili's is to Socios.com. So the partnership is definitely going to affect Chili's. It's going to bring more attention to the token. Again, I said this before. I don't think Chili's is a get-rich token. I think you could make some money on it, but I think what was really cool about it is its use case and getting fans to be able to interact more so with their team. And so to get, the debates out there, Messi or Ronaldo, greatest of all time, at the end of the day, they're both worth watching. Messi is one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. So the fact that he's partnering with them is going to bring a lot of attention to Socios.com and therefore Chili's.
Yep, and then we got Gnosis down 2.5%, but up 40% in the last 7 days. Aave down 2%, but up 40% in the last 7 days. Qtum down 2%, but up 16% in the last 7 days. So it's very interesting. The biggest losers are still the biggest losers on the last day are still up quite a bit over the last 7 days. And in fact, pretty much the entire cryptocurrency the entire cryptocurrency market, is up over the last 7 days. The only crypto that's really not up over the last 7 days is Unicedlio, which is a project that you see in the top biggest gainers or losers quite a bit. We've got Binance USD, Pax Dollars, Terra USD, USD Coin, Tether, True USD, and DAI, all of the stable coins in the losing category just because they are trading sideways. So, been a pretty good day actually for been a pretty good week. We're looking at just about a day of correction. And again, like I said, that's not anything that we should be worried about. That actually gives opportunities for things like the TD sequential to reset on Bitcoin. If we were to move to the downside a little bit more, trade back down to $46,000 slowly, then that would show us that we would then have not a 9 flash on TD sequential. We would actually have that reset, which would be very bullish. And then it would also show us, okay, we're going to go into a correction, but we're going to go into a very slow correction. That just shows you how much buying pressure there is right here. So that would not be a bad thing at all if we just slowly pulled back and traded sideways down to $46,000. But we are going to go ahead and move into the market pulse. Smay, can you go to full screen real quick? Let me grab these articles. Give me 1 second. We're going to be talking about the Fear and Greed Index, and we're going to be also talking about Bitcoin exchange outflows. We're going to run through these pretty quickly here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab these. What we need to look at here is the Fear and Greed Index. Got the article up over here on newsbtc.com. Time to be fearful. Bitcoin index reaches greediest point since peak. You can see that the Fear and Greed Index has rallied all the way to 56. And in fact, I'm also going to go ahead and bring up the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index so that we can see the actual graph here. Over on alternative.me, you can see here, I believe it's right there, that we hit 56 and 60 just a couple days ago on Fear and Greed, which is the highest that we've seen Fear and Greed go since the beginning of this downtrend. We saw Fear and Greed hit 54 on the 9th of February, which was a local high. Bitcoin on the 9th of February hit $46,000. Then on the 2nd of March, we saw Bitcoin hit, I want to say about $44,000. We hit 52 on Fear and Greed, so those were correlated. Now we've hit 60 on Fear and Greed. This does not mean that we're overextended and we need a massive correction. In fact, this could be just the beginning of a major rally as we saw over here in late July, early August, where we hit 60, had a small correction, and then continued on up to 70 and 80. I personally think that's what we're seeing happen. I do think there's a large opportunity that we could be about to see a rally as a result of Fear and Greed. Moving more into the greedy territory basically means that there's more FOMO, there's more volatility, there's more liquidity, and most importantly, there is potentially more bullishness.
What's cool too is like it hit that peak, that 56 the other day. Now today it's down at 52, and of course this is a little bit delayed. So what is it going to be to tomorrow? But the price is just moving sideways. The price isn't going down, so it's almost like it's a reload type of thing. Again, like Jebb just said, when I was looking at that article this morning, I was like, this might not be. I know the title was definitely a FUD title. There's definitely a Fear and Greed. We're getting greedy. But when you look at the charts and you analyze the price, you're like, no, this looks like a part of what a healthy rally to go back to higher levels looks like.
Yeah, no, this is a very good thing that Fear and Greed Index is doing this. You want to see the Fear and Greed Index sitting up here at 70 or 80, similar to how you actually want to see the RSI on Bitcoin sitting up here between 60 and 70, maybe even 75 or 80, because it indicates that the bulls are in charge. That's what we want to see happen. So that's a very good thing. We've also got a couple of other things to look at here. Bitcoin exchange outflows are rising. Prominent Bitcoin trading platforms saw outflows worth $2.1 billion yesterday. Inflows stood at nearly $1.2 billion. So we have about a $700 million, a $900 million difference there, where we have almost $1 billion in net flows leaving the exchanges. That's a very big deal. Why? Because it means people are hodling. So if you want to read this article, you can pause right here and read this, but I just wanted to go ahead and show you the difference here. We are seeing almost, even on Ethereum, net daily exchange flows reached 1 billion. Those are outflows being at 1.8 billion compared to inflows being at 800 million on ETH. So we're seeing almost $1 billion a day worth of Ethereum and Bitcoin jump off exchanges, go where? Probably into a Ledger wallet, which, by the way, this show is brought to you by, so make sure to check out Ledger with the link in the description box down below. I'm sorry, I saw the segue. I had to take the opportunity, guys. In case you guys are wondering whether I stand by Ledger, I use 4 Ledger products to store my crypto, so I do think it's a solid brand.
Tay and I got one here like a month ago, so it's awesome. I love having it.
Love those things. Check them out with the link in the description so that you can store your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency safely. And also, make sure to check out that like button. If you hit that like button, I will give you a cookie emoji in chat. Just say, Jebb, I hit the like button. And whenever Tim is talking and I have a second to look at chat, then I will give you a cookie emoji if you hit the like button. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and move now into some Bitcoin technical analysis. Not a ton to talk about here on Bitcoin, so we're going to move kind of quickly through this and talk about some more philosophical things about how to actually analyze markets from the long term. But just a quick recap. I'd like to start all of our TA here with a quick recap. Bitcoin has been in a rally since the 14th of March. Ever since it did that, it broke a plethora of different major levels of resistance. Broke $42,000, broke this downtrend, broke $44,000, broke $46,000. Those were 4 major levels. And right now, you can see that it's trading up here just below 48,000 and is more or less in a symmetrical triangle pattern in consolidation. And that is very important because it basically tells us right now that we're in a bull flag. Now, there is an argument to be made that instead of that being an uptrend, it really should be drawn something like this. And that's fine. You can call it a descending wedge. Either way, the point is it's more than likely going to break to the upside. At least that's what we would see happen statistically speaking. What is potentially going to happen here, though, is that we could potentially see a drop down to $46,000 first, followed by a rally moving into the moving into the beginning of April. Tim, I want to hear your thoughts on that, just to kind of kick off the segment. What is your outlook on what April is going to look like for Bitcoin? And in general, what do you think Q2 is going to look like for the crypto markets?
Yeah, so here.
Full screen.
I want to go to the monthly chart. It's really funny. I'm not one that usually goes on the bigger time frames. I go on the smaller time frames. The first thing we need to notice is, despite people still feeling fishy, we've now had 2 not just minimal green candles on the monthly chart. Those are 2 pretty good candles. I know there's a couple more hours before this candle technically closes, but today is the 31st of March. It is the end of Q2. It's the end of Q1, starting Q2 tomorrow. But as it stands right now, we actually have a lot of momentum going. Even if you look at the MACD, which of course people have talked about in the show before, the MACD is red. If you're looking at just those histograms, they're red. They're technically even still growing. But when you look at the actual lines going, look at how the blue line, which is what we're tracking right here, as steep as it was, is starting to curve, and it's not necessarily heading back up just yet, but it's a monthly chart. It's going to take a little bit of time to slow down and then move back up. I'm seeing a lot of bullish things continue. I actually expect, at this point, I think that April is going to be a 3rd green month. Now, I do think that potentially, as we've talked about before, a lot of green candles in a row are rare. You're going to, of course, you see one right there on my chart. As I'm saying, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jebb, how heard of is that? How common is 6 monthly green candles in a row?
Well, it depends on when you are seeing that happen. If it happens during a bull market, then you can see that occur, but a lot of times you will see really all you have to do to answer that question is just do some historical analysis here. If you look back on Bitcoin in 2016 and 17, you didn't see that really happen. You saw 5 several times, even here in the first half of 2019, we saw 5 here in about the middle part of 2017. You saw 5, but a lot of times 6 you don't see happen. Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot there. So I don't necessarily think that we have to see that. I would not be surprised. I do think with what we've seen happening, it's kind of funny to see this March green candle, because when you're just feeling, if we're just going off of feeling, it has felt like a very long month, has it not? Like we had a couple days there, but hasn't March felt like a really long time?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that we're building momentum for April, and April's going to be another green one, but I do think there's going to potentially be a slightly red candle for May. Then I have not put enough thought into June because again I don't usually focus crazy far out and try to get pinpoint accuracy. I'm more kind of keeping things between a month and then bringing down to 24 to 72 hours, looking for trade opportunities, looking at the news and what's happening to see if we're seeing a trend, a change in the trend in which we're seeing on almost every single chart now. So to answer your question, Jeb, I think another green candle in April.
Yep.
And then May, maybe we see a red one.
Maybe we see a red one in May. Hey, we see what we did there. Anyway, so what I'm saying here, guys, is I think we're going to see some bullishness moving into this month of April, but it's still yet to be the thing, we're only at $47,000. Bitcoin breaking $46,000 was the reason why we started to say, hey, we're very bullish. We still have a long way to go. We're not fully confirmed that we're going into a massive uptrend or anything yet. I don't want to get ahead of myself here by saying, oh, Bitcoin's about to go back to all-time high in the month of April. But with that said, what we're looking at right now does, on the weekly chart, talking about longer-term time frames, sort of look like the beginning of a larger rally here where we have two big old green weekly candlesticks. I can point to a couple of times in the past. In fact, all 3 times in the past where we had a major rally, it started out with a couple of very large green candlesticks. It normally doesn't start slowly and then just kind of go up like this. Lately, we've seen Bitcoin go through 2 or 3 just really powerful weeks where the bulls just said, nope, we are in charge, we're loud, and we're here, and we're going to dominate, and that's what the bulls said. So I'm really interested to see what this week looks like. Do we have a little bit of correction, or do we continue to the upside? So, man, I want to ask you the same question, then I'm going to answer the question myself. What do you think Q2 of 2022 is going to look like? Are we going to see what Tim said, a couple of months of green and then a month of potentially red? Or do you think we're going to trade sideways? We're going to moonshot? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I think we're starting to see a lot more momentum in terms of bullish excitement. I think especially, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I think that this, and we're going to get into it a little bit, of this potential of Strike app partnering with Apple Pay, stuff like that. I see that being a pretty big catalyst once it's officially out there. If it actually is what it is and it gets announced, I could see that bringing a ton of bullish excitement into the space because, to be honest, we haven't seen a company of Apple's magnitude really like get into crypto. And so that's going to be something that I think is just going to be absolutely bullish. So I could see within the next 3 months us. Do I even want to say this? I could see within the next 3 months us getting very close, if not reaching all-time high. Because I think Apple getting involved, and my caveat is if it is really Apple getting involved with Apple Pay with crypto, then I really do think that's going to be enough to get all that excitement right back. And so that I could see it. I think we're going to have a very bullish. Whether or not it is, I think we're going to have a very bullish next 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and we'll talk more about it a little later, but there's also a sense of when these rallies happen, especially when there's a lot of good feelings that come with them, that, they're, first of all, people love taking profits to then fake out the market, especially the whales, the institutions. Have not said this word in a long time, but the composite man.
The composite man.
Loves.
Dun, dun, dun.
They do it in the accumulation phase. They do it in the distribution phase. They do it during the rise. They do it during the dip. They love FOMOing and funding people out at the right moment so they can make money along with themselves. And while Bitcoin is different than the stock market because there's not really regulation, there's not really any closing on times, that doesn't stop Composite Man from doing that kind of stuff. We still need to use those type of tools. But that's another reason why even the Apple News, as bullish as it is, I think we're going to see some slightly bearish stuff come out of it too, just with that. As soon as everyone gets really hyped, especially retail investors, whales and institutions are going to use that time to potentially take some profits, wait for the price to come down a little bit because they know that Bitcoin is solid, and then they're going to go back up and they're going to make some money. They're going to get to eat up some supply and FUD some retail investors out. Yeah. So I think you got to take with these massive stories, and we'll talk more here in 10 minutes. We'll talk more, but these stories come with peaks and dips and peaks and dips. We just hope the peaks outlast the dips overall.
My thing is, I could see this going just like the Tesla. You know what I mean? Like with Elon Musk. I think this is a similar caliber of type of story. And that's why I could see this going definitely in that way of saying the retail gets so exuberant, so excited that they just take it up there. And yeah, I think there's going to be I think there'd be a pretty substantial, dip, but I think we're definitely going to have some really big bullishness here.
Let me ask you something, Tim.
Yeah.
What do you think the likelihood is if, as we're about to talk about in a second, because there are rumors going around that Apple's about to accept Bitcoin for Apple Pay, what do you think the chances are, if that's happening, that they purchase Bitcoin at the beginning of the quarter because they don't have to report it until the end of the quarter? What do you think? Are they going to do that?
Well, that would be very, very sneaky, and I love it.
Be very sneaky?
I love that sneakiness.
Be very sneakiness.
It's possible. I mean, I don't work for Apple, so I don't know what their purchasing power is. I think we all knew it was inevitable they'd get into it already, but at some point, but who knows when. Again, the other thing is, just remember, anytime there's great pump stories, there's also great ways and opportunities for people to take profit. And that's why I said, if people just think we're going to have these crazy rallies without any stopping points and any dips, then we're fooling ourselves. It's going to happen. Again, but I'm just hoping the runs that go up are bigger runs than the runs that go down, and we still work our way back up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and take a look here at Bitcoin on the long term, because there's something I want to remind you guys of out here on the monthly chart, and that is that Bitcoin has been in a bull flag for the last year and a half. And sometimes it's tempting to stay zoomed in on the, the daily chart or the 3-daily chart or the 4-hourly chart, and we forget about the long-term perspective here. Out on the monthly chart, we are currently looking at a bull flag, depending on how you draw it, just like this, that has a price target of, depending on if you're on log or auto, $300,000. I would actually leave it on auto here when I'm doing this. I would say that we have a gigantic price target here from this bull flag. And I think when we see more and more people start to flow into the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space after the events that are happening in Eastern Europe, after the events that are happening with massive inflation, after the turmoil that we're about to see in the real estate market, more than likely, you're going to see people start to move money into Bitcoin and crypto, because more and more people are realizing that Bitcoin is not a get-rich-quick idea. Bitcoin is the ability to maintain your wealth into the future idea. That's the big difference. That's the paradigm shift that people are starting to understand in Bitcoin. They're starting to realize, oh, wait a second, Bitcoin doesn't exist so that I can make $1 billion by buying and selling it 15 minutes later. Oh, wait a second. It really is the new digital gold. And yes, you can use it to replace the dollar and use it as a currency, but truly the thing that brings it the majority of its value is the ability for it to be used as an asset. Every time it's used as a currency, that's just icing on top. So we're going to be talking about how it could be used as a currency with 507 million new customers relatively soon, talking about Apple Pay. But for right now, I just want to remind you, out on the weekly chart and on the monthly chart, the technicals are absolutely incredible. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a look here at Lux Algo on the monthly chart. We haven't looked at this in a long time. Just wanted to show you here what it was saying. We're currently under a sell signal on the monthly chart. I would say that Lux Algo's monthly chart reliability is a little bit lower just because we're looking at such a low resolution. Lux Algo is going to have a difficult time out here on the monthly chart, so I wouldn't put a lot of stock in this, but we are currently under a sell signal. Trend catcher at 51,000. If we were able to get back up to 60, 65, then we would probably see a buy signal there. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Looking at the weekly chart, I want to see a buy signal come into Lux Algo. That has not happened yet, but the good news is we are currently seeing purple candlesticks instead of red candlesticks, so we're getting closer. Instead of it being a strong sell signal, it's now just a regular sell signal. Trend catcher here is at $50,000. If we're able to get Bitcoin above 54, 55, we would probably see trend catcher turn green and a Lux Algo buy signal come into play as well, similar to how we saw back here. Remember that we are in bullishness sitting here on the 3-daily chart. We saw Lux Algo turn green on trend catcher back on the 3rd of February, and we've also seen a buy signal come in to confirm it in just the last couple of days, going back to March the 26th. So Bitcoin is doing very, very well for itself right now, and I do believe that it is going to have a lot of opportunity to go into a major rally over the next couple of months. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and read some super chats, and then we will move on to talk about the potential of Apple getting into the space and what it would mean if major corporations such as Apple continue to step into crypto. Let's do it.
So what I don't understand is, I see a note here from the people that are recording is TZ and Taylor. It says from yesterday. So I don't know how many of these are yesterday. Oh, no. 2 of them are. 2 of them are from yesterday. Actually, I see their notes now. There we go. Crypto Set Guy or Jeffrey said, shout out to Wamaka Idui. And I haven't heard that name in a while. But Amaka, I did say that correctly. Graduated with her master's on Monday.
Whoa,
Congratulations, Amaka. We got to meet her on one of our webinars.
We did.
Which, by the way, guys, look forward to webinars are coming back. I don't know the official dates and times and whens and all that information, but we've taken a break from those to plan them better. Because as fun as they were chaotic at times.
Yeah.
They're going to be coming back way better, and we're going to meet more people like Amaka there, so make sure you stay tuned.
Yes.
Michael McNamara. I hope that's right. I don't see a message there. Just a donation, so thank you so much, Michael. There we go. So today, John Rock. Gosh, this is not a great day for names. Kusama, yeah, thank you for that. I needed it. Kusama been moving. Any thoughts on the project?
On Kusama, no, not really. Kusama is not one of those projects that I really keep up with all that much. Yeah. So sorry about that. No, I'm not.
Yeah, Brian Lopez 22 said, possible to get a quick and dirty look at Aave.
Why a dirty look?
Why a dirty look?
Listen,
Aave's not a dirty project.
Yeah.
All right, well. You want to give it a quick
I guess we can give a quick and dirty look at Aave. Aave's ranked number 48.
Woo!
Trading
Look
at
that Aave.
$221. Oh man, put some clothes on Aave. I'm sorry, that wasn't funny.
Oh
let's take a quick look at Aave down here, not the market cap. Here we go. We'll look at it on Tether. Got some TA from back in the day over here on Aave. I'll go ahead and remove all of that. TA from back in the day on Aave. That all rhymed. What we're seeing right now is a major bottoming coming in on the 14th of March, just like the rest of the crypto markets. It's already doubled since then, so that's huge. That means that it's seen, what would that be? $1.5 billion in market capitalization flow into it. Bullish MACD, RSI rallying up to 63, which is interesting for 2 reasons. One, sitting at 63, that's prime time territory for the bulls, but it's doubled in price and it hasn't gone up to like 90 on RSI. That's really interesting that it hasn't rallied farther than that on RSI. By the way, we're on the 3 daily chart, so that might have something to do with it. There is a confirmed buy signal here on the 3 daily chart for Aave that just came into play. So Aave looks like it's in a very strong position to go into a very large rally if the rest of the cryptocurrency market does manage to maintain its bullishness. So yeah, I think there's opportunity here.
Well, before we transition, because we're going to transition, we're going to read Kelly's in a second. I did want to go to anyone who's watching the project now. Bitcoin just went below 47,000. I wanted to just earlier. We haven't done this in a while. So you can go to my chart real quick, and then I said we'll close and transition with Kelly's super chat. But we have not, Jebb, looked at the Fibonacci retracement here in a little minute, so I wanted to do that for everybody. And I noticed something interesting this morning when we were looking at it. Interesting point. So if you're looking at one version, so this one right here, I don't remember which one this is. I think this is with the what do you call it? Logarithmic chart of Fibonacci retracement. This key zone right here, this level, we have used it for resistance out here on the daily chart. But I found funny, what's really key about this, are we going to resist here, come back down? I don't think we're coming down all the way back to 43. I think it's stronger to say 46 or 45. But if I change what we're doing with the Fibonacci, because we've done this before, we talked about, right now I have it set on Fibonacci levels based on log scale. Take that off. What I found was funny is now when you're looking at this chart, we're using it as support. So a lot of people, I just saw someone comment like, oh, Bitcoin's dumping. No, it's not dumping. There's a key level of support right here. We're still kind of moving sideways. But Jebb, what are your thoughts real quick? And then we're going to transition about what you see happening on Fibonacci, even seeing both of those, the flip. One of them showing that it's a level of resistance where we're currently at, and the other showing it as a potential level of support we could rally.
So the thing to realize about Fibonacci, and I have my Fibonacci set up a bit differently than you do, so I'll show you on both of them. I'm not using log scales. You are. The way that I typically use it is here without that box checked. What I'm seeing here, not using log scale, is that we just broke through 38.2, which is the inverse of 61.8, which is itself the inverse of phi, which is 1.618. For any of my physicists, mathematicians, or anybody who works with math and numbers and ratios, you'll know what 1.618 is. It's called the golden ratio. If you've ever seen those little Fibonacci spirals and flowers and stuff, the Fibonacci ratio, it all comes back to 1.618. 0.618 is the other side of 1. So 0.618 is the most important Fibonacci number there is. 0.382 is the other half of 0.618 because together they equal 1. So That is a very important level right here. It's currently sitting at 46,967. Guess what? Bitcoin's currently sitting at 46,965. So what we're doing right now is we broke through this level and we're testing it as support. That gives me a lot of comfort that we're sitting up here and we're trying to break through this. Now, technically, even though we've gotten above it, we really haven't broken it with confidence, but hopefully we will at some point soon.
Yeah.
But if you go ahead and, as Tim was showing, you change the way that the scaling is done based on logarithm charts, then you see that we're working on breaking through the 0.5% region, which is halfway between 33,000 and 70,000, at least on the log scale. And that means that we have resistance right above us at 48. What I see on both of these charts, depending on which Fibonacci level you want to look at, by the way, 0.38 is down here at 44, meaning that 44 is very strong support, which we already knew, but we just have another reason to know that. If we're looking at both of these fib levels, we can see that we are close to being out of the woods, but we're not out of the woods yet. We really need to break 48 with confidence, stay above there for a while, get up towards 49.50, and then we're going to be looking a lot better on Fibonacci. And looking over here at the 0.618 to 0.65, that's called the golden pocket. That's sitting at 52,000 when you scale it this way. When you scale it without a log scale, it's sitting at 55 to 56. So to get up to that level, we really need to get to between 52 and 56, and then we need to break that, because if we don't break that, oftentimes you will reject in the Fibonacci golden pocket. We don't want to do that. We want to break through and go to all-time high. So those are the two major levels to look out for, breaking where we are now and about the mid-50s.
Yeah, I think as Bitcoin continues to drop here a little bit, 46.6, I think 52 is the next number we're looking at in the bullish trend. But I want to go ahead and transition. Last super chat here. Kelly Kellum said Apple will want to stay competitive with Cash App and PayPal, both of which are already providing crypto options. So with that said, transitioning into our discussion, Jebb, Apple might be using Bitcoin here very soon. We might find out for certain here at Bitcoin 2022 here in next week. What are your thoughts there?
I think that would be the largest adoption story that we've seen on Bitcoin since Tesla. And the reason is Apple is, I don't know if it currently is, but let me look this up, is I believe the most valuable company in the world. Yes, it is, sitting at $2.868 trillion. At one point, if I remember correctly, they did breach $3 trillion. Or they got very close to it. Apple is sitting at nearly $3 trillion market cap. If Apple were to adopt Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form, everybody who has ever knocked Bitcoin basically has absolutely no argument. Literally, we've got a country that's adopted Bitcoin, and the largest company in the history of the human race has adopted Bitcoin. So that would be the largest adoption event in the history of mankind for Bitcoin. So we need to understand that this would be a very big deal. We also need to understand that everything we're talking about right now is rumor and speculation. I want to make that very clear. Apple has not come out and said, oh, we're adopting Bitcoin. But there is a reason to believe that. As you know, they have the product Apple Pay, which I didn't know they had this many users. But as of December 13, 2021, there are over 507 million Apple Pay users.
Yeah.
I did not realize that that many people use Apple Pay. That's insane.
Well, and
I almost exclusively use Apple Pay.
Kelly and I were talking about it because there's numbers from earlier in 2021 that led you to believe the number was closer to 132. It grew in September to 507 million. And so we don't have any numbers, so that's why we're leaving at 507. But who knows what that number actually is sitting right now in March of 2022. It probably has grown since then and could be sitting in way higher than 507
Well,
million.
what it is now more and more and more and more small businesses are able to upgrade their point of sales to be able to accept Apple Pay. So now pretty much, I mean, I can go everywhere with my Apple Watch, with my phone, and be able to pay. I pretty much now exclusively pay for everything with Apple Pay. So it's like I'm one of I'm one of the examples of people that use Apple Pay, and I think that I think Apple Pay is something that is going to continue to grow in users because more people are going to see the absolute the ease of use of it. Like literally, you don't even have to carry a wallet on you. I don't have the time carry a wallet with me because I can just go boop boop boop. There you go. I paid for what I need to pay for. And then also I have my Apple Card and I get cash back. So if I use my Apple Card, it's great, So anyways.
Yeah.
I think the thing that we need to realize is what the concept of an on-ramp is. What is an on-ramp? Well, on the interstate, an on-ramp is a way that you get on that's the way you get on the interstate. An off-ramp is the way you get off the interstate. So what we're looking for right now are on-ramps that allow people to get into cryptocurrency. Ideally, an on-ramp is something that is not so sharp that it's difficult to drive on. Normally, an on-ramp, you drive a little bit slower than when you're on the full-on interstate. It's something that allows you to get up to speed and go your own pace so that you're able to join in with the rest of the traffic. And what we're seeing right now are all kinds of new on-ramps opening up to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Having Apple, one of the most user-friendly customer service or customer experience-oriented companies in the world, opening up to Bitcoin, you can bet that if they're going to join the Bitcoin narrative, if they're going to join the cryptocurrency space, they're going to do it in a way that is remarkably user-friendly for the sake of their brand. They are not going to integrate this in a sloppy way. They would rather not integrate it at all than do it in the wrong way, because Apple tries to build very quality, very user-friendly products. That's what Samay was just talking about. The reason everybody wants to use Apple Pay is because it's simple. That's why. It's a very, very simple way to use your electronics. Apple has done a good job with user experience. And that's a big deal, because if you combine Apple's experience and expertise of user experience, UX, and then you combine that with the difficulties of user experience with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is sometimes relatively complicated if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're not using an exchange. If you combine Apple with Bitcoin, then you have a solution to a concern in Bitcoin. The user experience on Bitcoin can be difficult. Apple is an expert in that. So combining those two could be a very, very beneficial thing. Yeah. Not to mention, if you have 507 million people being able to use Bitcoin on Apple Pay, 1% of them are going to use it just for the sake of it being a novelty. The amount of money you could see flow into Bitcoin would be huge, and Apple would probably turn into the largest cryptocurrency exchange overnight, because they have to provide liquidity for Apple Pay, and they've got to be able to provide that. They've got to be able to provide a structure so that Bitcoin is able to be held. So them turning into a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency payment processor would be much bigger than MasterCard and any other bank, Visa, getting involved with Bitcoin and crypto, which they are getting involved with Bitcoin and crypto. But that would just be the final stage in the adoption of crypto, which would just mean that every time another company tried to adopt Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, they would be looking to Apple to see how they did it. Apple can pave the way for Amazon and Google and Microsoft and Tesla one day again, and Nvidia, and I'm just going down the list of the largest companies in the world right now adopting Bitcoin and crypto.
Well, I mean, I would even say, right, like the thing that makes it for me kind of a no-brainer, right? Because it's like you're talking about at this point Apple Pay growing and growing and growing and being one of the biggest ways that people are now working with money, and Apple's making a very clear run towards the financial space, creating the Apple Card and all these things. They're wanting to grow in that financial sector. And to be honest with you, this seems like cryptocurrency, like Kelly was saying, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, all the above, all those different payment processors, that online payment processors that can kind of compete with Apple Pay, all are using cryptocurrency now. Like you can buy, sell, trade, blah blah blah, cryptocurrency on them. And I think Apple is looking at this and saying, wow, this is literally just the no-brainer next evolution of our products, especially the fact that everyone is walking around with an iPhone in their pocket at this point. And so it's kind of just a no-brainer to get now the very tech-savvy, because I saw somebody comment in chat, it's like a real crypto person doesn't use Apple. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true, but the sentiment is, though, think about it. Right now, what they're trying to do is get the tech enthusiasts, because right now the tech enthusiasts aren't really, to be honest with you, they're using the more open platforms, right? But if they can convince you to say, hey, we can give you safe, secure, private, where you can work with your crypto in a way that is safe and user-friendly and all this stuff, I'm sure a lot of people are now going to say, well, that was kind of the final tipping point, and now I can feel comfortable using crypto with my phone.
Let's say that that's true, that real crypto people don't use Apple products. Okay, well, we don't need Apple to convert real crypto users.
No.
They're already in crypto. I want Apple to be advertising to the masses that don't use crypto. That's the whole point. I want it to get adopted by the average Joe. What Steve Jobs talked about this. What does the average Joe use? He uses an Apple product. You know, that's not necessarily always true, but the point is, if Apple is able to, you know, penetrate the market of your average human being, which they have done a very good job of, then they are very likely going to be able to help that average Joe start using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency products.
No, so something I was actually chewing on, kind of mulling this morning when we saw the news break is, so first of all, my initial response was, that's cool. How many Bitcoin holders actually are going to use this? And I had to pause for a second because my brain was computing and thinking about educated people who understand the power of Bitcoin and how, if you can continue to hold and wait for the future, Bitcoin's value will change your wealth forever. So those people will not spend money. I'm just gonna be honest and real. I probably will not use, even though I have an Apple phone and I have Apple Pay, I probably will not spend Bitcoin. But as Jebb just talked about, we want the masses to do it. And this is a video we're actually gonna talk about here very soon, but Jebb talked about with Michael Saylor, education needs to increase. But as it stands right now, what is bringing people into the space, into crypto? It's things like NFTs. It's things like Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, SafeMoon, some of these meme coins, some of these smaller projects that actually have, you know, as much as we don't really love those projects and we don't think they're the wise ones to get into, you can exchange and do a lot of things with them. They're really interactive. How many people who don't know that much about crypto but have heard Bitcoin but said, oh, I don't know how you really operate with Bitcoin, what would I even do with it, are now going to say, oh, that's so cool. I can get and pay in Bitcoin on my Apple phone, on my iPhone, and I can continue to exchange. And it's going to become this lack of educated exchange, like I'm really cool, I pay in Bitcoin, and it's going to bring adoption that hopefully then as they come to the space, we're able to educate them on the future of what Bitcoin really is. But it is going to, my first response, who's going to spend money? My second response is, oh yeah, a lot of people don't know really what Bitcoin is. This is a way that people can kind of play with it and practice with it and get into the space.
Well, so the last thing I'll say is think about the way, if anybody here is familiar with the way that Apple develops their products, what you tend to see is what they'll do is they'll save a lot of time just letting the other companies figure out the weird gimmicks first, right? They're not going to be the first ones to make a folding phone. They're not going to be the first ones to, you know, use stylus, you know, all the stuff that, like, it's all the cutting edge, whatever companies that always do that. They wait for them to figure it out and fail at it before now they're going to make a better, stronger version of whatever that gimmick was, right? So I see this being something that, you know, what we'll see happen, and it's the same thing with crypto. They've been hands off crypto. Why? Because they're wanting to see the other companies fail at it or at least do it worse. And then they say, okay, here's how we can do a very much, you know, walled garden, very, very like user-friendly way of doing it and know that we're going to do it excellently. That's the way Apple has done their products. Like, they're never the first ones to a gimmick. It's very rare that they are. They always are the ones that are like, we're going to let somebody else do it, and then we're going to claim that they're going to do a presentation saying, it was the natural evolution of our products that we noticed that this is where things were going. And, you know what, you know, like they always then take credit for it, but they're never the first ones to do it, you know? And that's what I think is going to happen here. They're seeing that crypto, everyone's interested in crypto. Everyone's involved in crypto. Crypto.
They're all involved in crypto.
I'm going to be honest with you. I could see this going way more than, like right now we're seeing it as a payment thing in Apple Pay.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I could absolutely see Apple starting to find ways to integrate wallets and all this stuff within their ecosystem and their platform. I could see them being able to start integrating, you know, people being able to store NFTs in a certain way on their Apple products and doing, like, I think they're going to start to build all this functionality like they have. And I think that's the evolution, and they're going to come out and be like, yeah, we're actually the innovators of the space, just because they made it where it's not breaking and glitching all the time.
Well, I mean, it's like with the Microsoft Zune. I was trying to think of this name yesterday when Apple came up on the stream yesterday. I forgot exactly what it was, but I was trying to say this. Zune, if you guys don't realize, 6 months before Apple released the iPhone, Microsoft released the Zune, which was basically an attempt at a smartphone. It got discontinued in 2012 because of abysmal sales and nobody liked the thing. The branding on it sucked. It was technology driven. That's why everybody thought, oh yeah, it's cool, it's got great tech, but nobody cared. Nobody believed in the branding. Then the iPhone was introduced on June 29th, 2007, and because of Apple's brand, and because of their why, and because of their passion, and because of what they stand for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they ended up becoming extremely successful. So the thing that you need to realize here is that Apple doesn't, as Smay said, doesn't need to be first to market. They're not this insecure person who wants to go and brag to everybody. They know they're top dog. They know they're this, as somebody said in chat, the 800-pound gorilla that brings in $380 billion a year in revenues and $119 billion in earnings every single year. They know that. They don't need to brag. They don't need to show off. If you have to brag about something, then there's probably nothing to brag about. You're probably bragging because you're insecure. They're not bragger. They don't need to brag. Now, they will come out and do a little subtle brag. They're like, oh, yeah, we came out with it first. But as far as being able to say, as far as them being first, they'd rather be later and then just say they were first.
Yeah.
So Apple is going to, at some point, adopt Bitcoin. That is just, in my opinion, that's a given. The question is when. The reason that it seemed like this might be coming, and there's a few other reasons, Jack Mallers, the founder of Strike, which is being used in El Salvador for their adoption, has been posting quite a lot about Apple lately, and it's very interesting because he even has a thing here of him flipping off a Chase ATM. You know, there's a lot going on here about why Apple may be soon adopting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and quite frankly, I've said this on streams before, I think it makes a lot of sense from a branding standpoint as well. Apple has always positioned itself as the countercultural, the different, the, you know, we're going to do things the new way. We're going to use technology and we're going to help people with it. And they've always positioned themselves as the rebellious type. They've always done that. They've also always positioned themselves as the individualistic type. If you look at any Apple ad, you will never see a group of people in the ad. It's almost always an individual because they're a very individual-focused business. And funnily enough, that's kind of what, that's somewhat kind of how Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is obviously very community driven. It's got a big network. It's got a huge community. But at the end of the day, it's to help you reach financial sovereignty and throw off the chains of these people that are attacking you. The 1984 won't be like 1984 ad. You could just as easily say that's an ad for Bitcoin if Bitcoin was out 40 years ago, even though it was an ad for Apple. So there's a lot of brand alignment between Bitcoin's brand and Apple's brand. So Apple is going to be able to adopt Bitcoin at some point in the future and make a very strong case that, hey, Bitcoin is what we stand for. It was the natural evolution of what we would do with our payment processing and merchants because Bitcoin is for the individual. Bitcoin is for the layman, just like us. Bitcoin is not for big business, they say as a big business. It's for the little guy. And they will end up being able to turn that into a brand powerhouse for themselves. So that's my take on that. Tim, do you have any final thoughts?
Another thought that I want to... We actually talk about this on the show. If we're going to say things like this, make sure we're very clear. This is opinions. This is Tim's opinion. I welcome people saying, Tim, you're an idiot. I welcome people saying, Tim, I disagree. But if you agree, cool. That's just my thought. We have been asking why Apple hadn't gotten to Bitcoin before. Okay, last year, there's a lot of questions. Why isn't Apple already doing this? Apple's always been kind of going against the grain. They always that think different, be different, you know, that concept. Why is Apple waiting till now? What has happened recently? The government has come out and said, we are not against crypto. We are not against Bitcoin. We're going to start forming regulation to actually allow it to use in space. Could that have possibly been the catalyst? And what we talked about on the show before, institutional money, billions of institutional, maybe trillions of institutional monies are waiting on the sidelines for a little bit of security of saying, am I going to get shut down if I adopt Bitcoin? Now have peace. Could Apple be saying, all right, listen, I don't know all the details, but we know that the government's not against Bitcoin, therefore, let's go ahead and let's move. Let's mass adopt it. We'll see what the regulation is. We'll stay within the law, but we know we're not going to be shut down. It's time to go ahead and move on this.
Well, I think Apple's methodology, and this is what Smay was talking about, can be best described like this. They don't want to be the trailblazers. They want to be the construction crew that comes and puts the interstate in, the trail that was already blazed, and then get all the credit because nobody remembers when there was no trail there, and that nobody remembers the guy who first blazed that trail. They just remember, oh, yeah, there's an interstate there. Yeah. They want to come in and skip the first 10 steps, let somebody else do that. But then they'll take it from step 11 on and forward. And then because they have that infrastructure built, they get all the credit. And that's what they did with the iPhone. That's what they've done with personal computing. That's what they've done with the mouse. That's what they've done with a lot of things.
Well, the thing is, that was kind of, I think, what we're describing is post Steve Jobs era.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs was definitely the guy who was like, I mean, He definitely did rip off a lot of people, but those were people that, anyways, he definitely was the guy who was like, let's make things first. He dreamed up the tablet, the idea of a tablet. He dreamed up the idea of a phone that these are that was who Steve Jobs was. But knowing how the current Apple operates, the current Apple is absolutely, I'm just going to let the first guy do it, and then we're going to take credit for it.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, that makes sense, but I don't think it's against my point. Again, this is post Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was a risk taker. Steve Jobs thought outside the box. They have way more conservative thinking now. So yes, a combination of let's see if someone else says this works, but also a very risky, let's not move on this until we know that we can legally be covered and not get ourselves in trouble with the SEC or anyone else that gets half of our stuff shut down, makes our community upset. I think that it's a combo. Somebody else proved it can be done, and also, hey, we're not going to get in trouble for this.
Well, which is why they're starting with Apple Pay, right? And doing they're starting with these little partnerships and build they're dipping the toes in water, being very conservative, like you're saying. But I'm saying, look, this is a bold prediction, but I could see in the next year, right? The next year, you're gonna see I love every year watching their keynotes, and they have those keynotes that they get really pretentious. They're like, look at this new, we now have implemented this new phase of our products. I think that's going to be exactly what they do next year, but it's going to be all about crypto. It's going to be all about crypto. Because guess what? This last year was the last one they did, the WWDC. They were like, whoa, look at this. We have credit cards and family credit cards and finance, blah, 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 Apple Pay.
Blah, 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 blah.
So what's going to happen? The next thing you know, they're going to be next year going to say, whoa, we see everyone loves the cryptocurrencies and we love the blockchains and look at this. You can text NFTs to each other. Whoa. They're going to do all kinds of stuff like that. And I guarantee you they're going to go full send into cryptocurrency stuff.
I very much
agree. Next year.
I completely agree. And the reason I completely agree is because Apple has always grown by being the not first to market, but the second to market on the next revolutionary technology and just branching out and blobbing out and doing everything. They do computers, they do phones, they do tablets, they do software, they do, tablets, they do software, they do, music, they do payments, they do all these different things. I can virtually guarantee you MasterCard, Visa, Google Pay, Apple Pay, and Coinbase are going to get into an arms race in the next 10 years on who's going to become the largest cryptocurrency exchange. But I don't know if I said Coinbase in there. Coinbase is going to be a part of that. Apple is going to sweep in, say, oh, look at this massively growing industry. It's growing 1,000% a year. Why don't we come in with, $50 billion in investment capital and just absolutely dominate the space? That's what they did with wearables. If Apple's wearables division is large enough to be a top 50 company with the amount of revenue they do, they're going to end up having a division of the company working on cryptocurrency that is going to be larger than Coinbase. I can almost promise you that. And the reason is because Apple would love the idea of going to a $10 trillion market cap and $1 trillion in earnings, $1 trillion in revenue, because they can. That's literally a big part of it, is because they can. So any final thoughts on that? And then we can keep moving on, read some super chats.
I think we're good. I think we got a transition.
Yeah, I think we got that horse.
Got a lot of super chats here too. So some of these are related to price, but there was a couple of them that had to do with Apple, so I'm going to start there. Cryptopher said, do you think Apple could be hinting at Bitcoin or crypto in general before it announces its own token?
They could be doing their own token. Yeah, that's possible. That'd be freaking huge for crypto.
Okay, wow. That makes a lot more sense. You know what? That would be very interesting if they just came out and they're like, haha, we made a blockchain.
We made a blockchain.
we didn't want to take a blockchain. We made one.
I just think their silence is very telling. Apple has not talked about Bitcoin the last 2 years, and the executive leadership is fully aware of what's going on in crypto. There is no chance that they don't see what's happening here.
Well, they've also been very, very vocal about privacy the last 2 years. So it's like it would actually it would make sense as their next evolution to say, we care so much about your privacy that we're going to blockchain now. You know what I mean? I can see it happening.
Brian Lopez 22 said, can easily see Apple in the next decade being a one-stop shop for crypto, buying/selling, NFT marketplace, and wallet solutions, and dominating.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
Let's see. I'm going to see. I want to make sure there's nothing else about Apple because I think a lot of these have to do with price. Because again, as we were live, I was talking in chat with people. It's now down 46.4. I did see. I think it went down as low as 46.3. Yeah, I don't think it went down into 46.200 yet. But a lot of people asking questions about price action. So Jebb, as I ask these questions, you can even probably be on your chart and be looking at that. Crypto strategist says major bull trap, in my opinion, failed launch signal.
It's too early to say that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
we're having healthy correction right now. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Nicholas Hersant said Putin announced he is cutting off gas supply to the EU tomorrow, shortly after the news crypto started dumping. We'll have to look into that one.
We'll have to look into that one. That's interesting.
Kelly, if you're in chat,
the EU needs to stop being so reliant on Putin's natural gas anyway. That's been a problem for a decade.
Rick4962 said, is Bitcoin in a bull pennant?
Yes, it is, actually. It's definitely in a bull pennant. Well, it's actually more in a bull flag.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a descending trading channel right now, but bull flag, yeah.
Yes, yep. Let's see here. A couple other questions we had. I think that was the ones that had to do with Bitcoin price. I know Crypto Sec Guy said in February the DOJ made Yoon Young Choi the first director of the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team. I think that is bullish for large institutions.
Understanding the way the regulation is going to impact Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Large intuitions. Intuitions. I read it wrong.
Intuitions.
Yeah, intuitions.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, it's very. Okay. Can you read that one?
I butchered that one. My bad.
The first director of National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team. I think that's bullish for large It says intuitions, but he means institutions.
Okay. Yes. I read it.
Means
I read it instinctively as institutions, and then
he meant to say institutions.
Yeah.
Yes, having clear understandings of the way Bitcoin and cryptocurrency works at the federal level is very important so that they are able to actually regulate it in a way that's not destructive to the industry and also in a way that is clear.
Sev Kessler said, tell me what you think about Reggie Middleton and his Very token. He owns DeFi patents that just got approved.
I'm not familiar with him, so I couldn't tell you.
Either. Do you know Reggie Middleton, Spay?
No.
Okay.
No.
Zoltan said, what do you guys think about an $106 to $107 Luna? Is that new floor or resistance?
Right now, Luna is sitting at
104, I think.
I was going to say Luna's sitting at 104 right now. I can look at it real quick if we have a second here.
I mean, it's got now very different than Bitcoin, obviously, because it's not coming down. It's sitting pretty darn close to. I mean, it's right below its all-time high. But it's as of the candle of recent action, had a little sort of rally, moved sideways, same as Bitcoin, and it has the same little red 4-hourly candle.
Luna's got some very interesting technicals on it right now. It's in a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern that has a price target of at least $160. So yeah, it's looking very healthy.
I think even more so if you're drawing this right, it looks like at the moment, which let's see, I'm gonna have to change up my angles on that one, but it looks like we're in kind of a rising wedge, which could break bearish, technically speaking. What I see here, if it continues this pattern rising wedge, by the way, that resistance only has 2 touches, so it's not the strongest rising wedge I've ever seen, but it could potentially drop down to 95, 96, somewhere in that region, and come down and hit support before a nice rally. But again, I would actually, in all reality, say at the moment it's semi-moving with the crypto market and Bitcoin and everything else. With that, it's had a nice little pump recently, moving sideways, and now it has just a little dip. And again, we'll have to look into that, the Putin news and the impact of that. Potentially, that is the catalyst for what's happening. You go off my chart now, Smay. Any other super chats?
To be honest with you, I was not on your chart.
Oh, that's what you want.
I didn't really hear you.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well,
I said the levels that people need to hear. Yeah. Siobhan Golay just gave 20. I don't know what that symbol is. I don't know, but he gave. Siobhan Golay, and I said his name correctly. So, there are points for me. Thank you, Siobhan. That is what we have super chat-wise.
It's the Indian rupee.
Indian rupee. Okay, awesome. Awesome. I'm not a master of fiat currency symbols.
Yes, we are relatively decent at cryptocurrency on a whole, but not great at fiat. So, guys, if you enjoyed today's stream, make sure to smash that like button. We got about 750 likes, 1,800 people in chat. Thank you so very much for watching. And don't forget, Club DeFi is being worked on. We got the launch coming in the next couple of months. It is now a closed beta. Well, it is a closed beta. We had our 200 signups come in the first 20 minutes of launching that, announcing that. So we're extremely excited to launch Club DeFi. You guys are going to absolutely love it. I cannot wait. We're going to look into the rest of this news about Putin, and we've got a lot more content coming. By the way, Smay, what are we doing today?
We're doing after this stream a member stream, woo woo, member stream, woo woo.
And just so people know, if anyone's wondering about those emails, I don't know if she started the process yet, but you'll be getting emails from Taylor and our support team. So keep, just because you haven't got them yet does not mean you're not going to get one. Keep posted. You should have probably the rest of this week and maybe even a little bit into next week before you could say, oh, did I not get an email? I need to reach out again and see what's happening.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So for any of our members, stay tuned. The link will be posted on the communities tab over on the YouTube channel, so make sure to check.
Give it about 5 minutes.
Give it about 5 minutes, and then go ahead and join that. We'll go 15 or 20 minutes in there with the members-only stream. Make sure to hit that join button. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to sign up, make sure to sign up for Lux Algo. The link for that's down below. And also make sure if you are looking for a prominent cold storage wallet provider, Ledger is the #1 in the industry. I've been using Ledger products for years, never had them break, fail, or have anything go wrong with them. Phenomenal products. Make sure to check out Ledger products with the link in the description box down below. Also, make sure to follow us on all of our social medias at CryptoJebb over on Instagram and Twitter, at CryptoJebbOfficial over on TikTok. Before we go, though, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.